welcome back to LinkedIn Logs, the jobs podcast, jobs and business news podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Welcome back in. You know, I haven't been to cpluscomedy.com in a while. Let's see what's going on there. All right, everything still looks good. Thank you, Adobe Portfolio, for being bland but very reliable. Let me see the interview section. Oh, the interview section is looking good. The Craig Robinson interview is sitting there beautiful on top of the video pile. Scrolling down, looking at all the famous people I talked to. Jermaine Fowler, Janelle James. Let me get out of the J's. Leo Byronberg. You know what's really fascinating, and I'll get to the jobs and business news in a second. There are so many names on here. I'm gonna brag about myself for a little bit. There are so many names on the. If you go to cpluscomedy.com, it's again I rebuilt the website using Adobe Portfolio because Squarespace is too expensive and just was not worth it. Anyway, but I rebuilt the C Plus Comedy website. And it's a little muted and everything. But under the interview section, you can see a lot of the names I did before I switched over to video. And it is fascinating to see so many wonderful people I spoke to who are now famous. Now, I'm not saying that I did it single-handedly. But what I am saying is that I had a hand in it. Yes, they worked very hard, but, you know, I'm looking at Joel Kim Booster. He's on Scrubs now, the Scrubs reboot. Josh Johnson, he's on The Daily Show and as a contributor. What is his role? He's like, I mean, they host too. Anyway, it's one, and now he's gonna get a new special on HBO. Oh my goodness, you know, it's Leo Byronberg, whose name I've seen on so many TV shows. Sometimes you'll be watching TV and then I'll see like, music producer, composer, Leo Byronberg. Wow, that's crazy. That's astonishing. Janelle James. Now, fair enough. I did not actually speak to Janelle James. There was a time period where some people would only do email interviews, not even phone calls. But Sherry Cola, she was on Shrinking. Watch the latest episode as of March 24th. She's no longer on Shrinking. As I make a very dark joke. You'll understand if you watch the show. I like Shrinking. I like it a lot. That Bill Lawrence is busy. He's got that, I believe, The Rooster on HBO Max and Scrubs all coming out at the exact same time. It's wonderful. It's wonderful to see, but also he, you know, it's wonderful to see because his casting is so diverse. Oh my goodness, it's so diverse. I love diverse casting. Man. Anyway, welcome back in. We're at the tail end of the workday. I'm knocking out this. It's going to be a long podcast. I know it is. But I just finished up an interview with somebody, and it will be coming out tomorrow. I mean, yes, I'm playing coy. You can listen to it under the Constitutional's podcast feed, or go watch it under the interviews on cpluscomedy.com or youtube.com/cpluscomedy. But I'll tell you, this person was at the Oscars. It's Tiana Taylor. She's still excited. Wouldn't it be funny if it was someone that big? It's like Leo. Leo, how was the Oscars, buddy? You have a nice time? What would I even ask him about? Hey, Paul Thomas Anderson. This is the first time he's worked with colored people, right? Oh, boy. All right. Let's do a little work check-in. Everything's going swimmingly. The end. That's it. I started adding my... This is a couple weeks in, the making. But I started adding my meetings from... We used Outlook. So I started adding my meetings into my personal Google Calendar. Not the links or anything, just the names and the times and all this stuff. So that I can take Maverick out for walks or to the dog park and know exactly when things are. And obviously, and that's an easy thing to do, but I also wanted to keep work and personal life separate. So I don't have any work apps on my phone. I don't need to. Although, I'm telling you right now, I'm not doing it, and I don't plan on doing it. But if I could have seen Project Hail Mary today at 11 a.m., I would have. I had nothing to do that was in particular very difficult. It was just just regular work stuff. So if I could have knocked that out at 10 a.m. and then gone to see Project Hail Mary, I can't go tonight. I can go tonight, technically. I don't want to be around people. If movie theaters, and I don't know if I've mentioned this here, but I know my dash cam has heard it because I talk about this whenever I'm driving to the gym. But if movie theaters opened at 8 a.m., my goodness. I would leave the gym. I would come home, take Maverick out, feed the pets, stretch, eat, shower, eat, and then immediately go to the gym. And I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but I would do that. I'm not at the gym. Immediately go to the movies. I would go, and if like the first movie was at 8 a.m., oh my gosh. If I could have seen Hoppers at 8 a.m. 2 weeks ago, if I could have seen Project Hail Mary this morning at 8 a.m. and then gotten back at like 10:30, you know how happy I would have been? Now, work does start at 10, but I would have rolled in and been like, I just saw it. I wouldn't have done that. Oh my gosh. And don't think that I haven't thought about bringing my laptop, because I do go in with the book bag. I'm not going to do that. That's disrespectful to the job. They pay me too much money to be messing around with that. So I'll just be here and watch Captain Phillips on television. I almost gave away where I work. Isn't that crazy? I literally almost gave it away. But I never will. All right, let's get into it. This one comes from, I have a couple of stories. I'm going to treat this just like the Constitutionals. If you have not listened to the Constitutionals, the entertainment business news show, I gather a bunch of stories and then I talk about it. This is what I'm going to be doing for this show right now, or at least for the foreseeable future. This comes from The Athletic, written by Sabrina Merchant. Who are the WNBA labor agreement winners and losers? Okay. The WNBA players have been essentially fighting for a new contract for the better part of the last 2 years. It's been something that's been at the forefront of the news of the WNBA, besides Caitlin Clark and besides Unrivaled. Also, if you like sports and you don't know anything, if I said anything other than Caitlin Clark, you didn't know. If you didn't know about this, and then you didn't know about Unrivaled, then you don't like the sport enough. In the same way that if I say, do you like golf? Like, oh yeah, I love the PGA Tour. If you say you like live, then there's an issue there. We're gonna stop the conversation. But then I go, oh, do you watch or do you know about Rory McIlroy and Tiger Woods' TGL, the golf league? And you go, no, then I'm gonna go, you don't like golf, even if it's fairly new. So they've been fighting about this for the past couple of years, and now they have an agreement in place. I don't think anything has been officially signed, but the crux of it is the players need more money. They've been working their butts off forever. They're not getting paid enough, and finally, these players are going to get things that they deserve. Probably not enough, but they're still getting the things that they deserve. Now, as Sabrina writes here, the league has experienced so much growth over the past few years that even as negotiations grew tense and sometimes stalled during collective bargaining, the WNBA could not afford a stoppage that risked halting this wave of momentum. And now they're going to play this full season of television, of games. And they're also, thank goodness for Ion and the EW Scripps Company and other places for purchasing the rights to games and airing these. So there's a few winners. The full agreement, again, the collective bargaining agreement, has not been drafted, but we have some winners like NECA Ogumike, who is the WNBPA president, who's now presided over the two labor negotiations that were immediately hailed as a landmark victory for players. After the 2020 CBA raised the standard of player experience across the league, the 2026 deal delivered on compensation. The Players Association, along with, I'm just going to call her NECA. I'm sorry, I don't want to ruin that last name again. Secured revenue sharing, albeit at a lower percentage than they might have hoped, and dramatically increased salaries for every player in the league, not just the stars. That's very important. Because even if you have stars like Caitlin Clark and Breonna Stewart and Asia Wilson, there's still people, who aren't as big, women who aren't as big, who deserve to get paid themselves. Okay. Now, being the president of the union is a challenging and thankless job. There's a reason no one has tried to run against NECA since she assumed the role in 2016. She led the players through a tumultuous period and came out on the other side with a life-changing deal. There's also, next up, WNBA stability. They secured a 7-year CBA deal with an opt-out after 6, ensuring labor peace for the foreseeable future. The league can pitch investors and sponsors with confidence in its financial outlook. It'll be easier to manage WNBA growth knowing what the expenses will be during this period. The players also benefit from this stability, unlike the previous CBA, when the salary system didn't allow them to partake in the revenue the league was bringing in. They will share in the gains over the next 7 years. Again, remember, it's not as big as they wanted, but big. But it's something. Asia Wilson made $200,000. So superstar players, they're going to get paid a little bit more. Asia Wilson made $200,000 in 2025, only $80,000 more than the average salary. The overall values and gradations didn't make sense considering how much superstars drive winning and popularity. Now, you can be like, somebody listening to this or watching this could be like, oh, but she also gets, Asia Wilson can get like Nike endorsements and this and that. That's no way to live. That's not even guaranteed money all the time. It's different for every single player. In the same way that, the I don't know, Steph Curry gets something, there's always a guard who does not get that. I don't know if I even made that sense. Now the best players will be compensated accordingly. Max players and super max players will make 7-figure salaries, and the best players don't have to wait until they finish their rookie contracts to sign those contracts. High-performing young players will also be able to earn supermax salaries in their 4th season, provided they meet certain benchmarks. Plus, rookie contracts will be right-sized to the 2026 rookie scale so that no one in the recent draft classes gets left behind, which means they're not going to be making $60,000 a year. They're going to be making better money. I don't know how much it is, but they're going to be making better money. Tunnel fits. Oh, I did not see this. I might have skipped over this. Okay. Oh, okay. This could apply to clothes, jewelry, bags, even cars, anything that players can spend their growing disposable income on. The lifestyle, that means they're just, these players earn more money, which means the fits get better. A lot of this is very fun. Okay, losers, free agency. The 2026 free agency period should have been the most exciting in the league's history. However, some decisions require time, and the WNBA doesn't have any of it. The league and players essentially engaged in a staring contest for the first month of 2026, resulting in an extremely truncated offseason. All of the news of player signings and trades will come out in a flood rather than a spread out over the next few weeks, limiting the potential drama. Toronto and Portland front offices are also losers. Okay. And non-billionaire ownership groups. Yeah, there's probably a decent amount of those. And off-season leagues, yes, that's right. The launch of Unrivaled and Athletes Unlimited, that's the other one I was thinking about, has already reduced the number of players who choose to compete overseas during the WNBA offseason, which is a good way to supplement your money. Once the WNBA regular season ends, then some players can go play for other countries, and it's happened. It happens in the NBA with or the G League at least, and things of that nature. Now that the average salary of the WNBA is increased fivefold, fewer players will need the extra paycheck if they prefer the time off. Then again, the WNBA offseason is long. Yes, it is. And many players don't want to sit out for 6 months. Yes. Okay, there you go. That's it. Moving on, this comes from Sydney Ember over at the New York Times. Young graduates face the grimiest job market in years because of advances in artificial intelligence, and now companies aren't really hiring, nor are they really firing. It's been tough for somebody who is 21 or 22 years old and they have their degree that they were told is supposed to help them. It's been tough for those young people to get out there and actually get any jobs. Unemployment rates for young people between the ages of 22 and 27 have skyrocketed. In 2020 rather, it blew up. I'll show you if you're watching the video, you can look at this chart. It blew up to roughly 20%. And then it leveled off going into the latter years, but as of 2025, it's been steadily increasing. I wonder what happened in 2010. That's interesting because that's around the time I graduated. And then I see that it tapered off. Well, I did not get a job. Oh, no. Oh, graduated high school, excuse me. I'm still very young and still very virile. So the unemployment rate soared to 5.6% at the end of last year, according to an analysis from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, up sharply over the past 3 years and outstripping the overall rate of 4.2% at the time. For those who were unemployed, more than 40% held jobs that do not typically require college degrees, the highest level since 2020. Again, I've talked about this before. It's because of the things like AI. We have, I think, Duolingo and a couple of other companies have just essentially turned to AI to take over spots that include, to take over jobs rather, that were typically held by humans in prior ways, whether it's customer service or I know that's what Verizon did. Or in other specialties. That's usually they would. I wonder, they would. Okay, let me finish that thought. Usually, a company would just more or less, send their jobs overseas, and that's why we have a lot of call centers. I wonder when those overseas call centers like really became a thing because customer service. I love it when the customer service is here and I can just talk to somebody without having to describe something or they're not reading a script or anything. Maybe that'd be good. That'd be a good little deep dive for CNBC to do their YouTube channel. So, artificial intelligence is destroying the jobs that graduates typically get. Fueling those concerns have been dire warnings from AI leaders, including Dario Amodei, the chief executive of Anthropic, who predicted the technology could obliterate half of entry-level white-collar jobs in 5 years. Now, our dear writer Sydney Ember links to a study from November 2025 called Canaries in a Coal Mine, 6 Facts About the Recent Employment Effects of Artificial Intelligence. And it's a 65-page study that covers how early career workers, ages 22 to 25, in AI-exposed occupations, I'm reading the abstract, experience 16% relative employment declines, controlling for firm-level shocks, while employment for experienced workers remained stable. There's also been a lot of, as I mentioned previously, low hire, low fire dynamics in the labor market. You don't want to, some companies aren't hiring, and some of them aren't letting go of people because then you have to train people, and that's a whole different thing. Job openings have been trending down and are below pre-pandemic levels, even as layoffs have remained low. I was talking to somebody at the dog park, and he was talking about how he is stagnated at his current job. And he was like, I'm thinking about quitting and trying to find another one. And as soon as I know him, but we don't know each other very well, and I just wanted to be like, don't do it, don't quit. I'm telling you right now, because it's rough out there. It's rough to just be able to move laterally. It's increasingly difficult, and I don't understand how, when I was on LinkedIn, how people would be like, I don't have a job, and then like a week later, like, I have a job, or how people just move on. Rahel Solomon's leaving CNN, and I'm wondering where the hell she's going. Although I did, again, I wake up at 3:45 in the morning, and I saw a clip of her last week. This is very specific. I saw a clip of her last week, and I was thinking, because she hosts right now for the rest of the week, she hosts the 4 a.m. early start show on CNN. And then Audie Cornish comes in at 5. And I was wondering, like, I looked at the video, and Rahel Solomon is a very beautiful woman. And I looked at that video, and I'm like, oh, she's looking tired. Why do they relegate her to this 4 a.m. show? And then this week, I guess I brought it out of the ether. I allowed her to move on to a different place. She's leaving CNN, so we have no idea where she's going. But she was excited because I looked at that clip of her announcing that she's leaving. I was like, yeah, look at that face. She's bright compared to the clip from last week where she was, again, she's a beautiful woman, but she was tired, and I could tell. So they chronicle a couple of people here, including a 22-year-old recent graduate from Barnard College in New York in December. She has a degree in psychology, so her degree is as useless as mine. And she applied to close to 200 jobs and has gotten 4 interviews in the past 2 months. You know what? I'm going to say this. I'm with her, and I want her to succeed, and I want everybody else to succeed. But it's been 2 months. When I graduated college, the only job that was available to me was working at a factory in UPS. So I just, like, truly, I didn't have anything until I got $10 an hour at WXIA here in Atlanta. And even still, I was driving from Roswell, from the suburbs down here to do that job. So, but I feel these young people. It's getting tougher and tougher to be in a position where you were told the best thing for you to do after you graduate from high school is to go out and pay and do more schooling and pay more money for school, be it and I know there's so many different options, but be it going to a for-profit school or community college, or that's associate's degree, right? And then, or getting a bachelor's degree. It is continued education after you've done roughly 12 straight years of learning is not something that everybody wants to do. But people have aspirations and dreams, or they want to go into the family business or do something, anything. And it was probably easier back in the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and now. The 80s, 90s, and now. Sometimes on SiriusXM, and yes, I pay for 2 music subscriptions, Sirius and YouTube Music. But sometimes on SiriusXM, I'll go to the app, and they have app-only stations. And there's app-only stations that are like 80s, 90s, and 2000s music. And that's literally... or dad rock. Or and it's just so... It's so funny to me when you have a station, it's like we play Pop Rocks, which is one of their most popular stations. We play popular rock songs. I don't know what it is from the '90s, early 2000s, and now. And I'm just like, and now, yeah, it's all the same time period. It's roughly 30 years. Oh my gosh. But you might hear Maverick barking in his sleep. He's currently sleeping and he's currently barking. But it's just, it was easier back then, and now it's not. It's tough, and there's no right answer for anybody to give. I don't know. People have mentors and everything, but I can't see anybody having the correct answer, because now someone's just gonna say, go make a TikTok and then make it viral and get famous. But that's not a thing. I often think I want people to get regular jobs and to learn and to be a part of the workforce, as opposed to just saying, I want to be famous, I want to go viral, I want to make money, putting out Instagrams or TikToks or YouTubes, because that's just not how it works. And while I'm going to refrain from saying that those people don't add to society, they definitely don't have attributable skills that can help in the long term. Being an influencer doesn't mean anything, but if you can be an influencer and have a skill, if you can, fix cars, or if you can cook food, then that's something. But the idea that I just want to be famous, that's not going to work. So even if I make fun of somebody who has a psychology degree, because I have a writing degree, even if we have useless degrees, it doesn't mean that they have a useless skill set. Okay. Let's move on to my last set of stories. This comes from the Hollywood Reporter, written by Alex Weprin. New Disney CEO Josh D'Amaro lays out his priorities in his first memo to staff. Last week, Bob Iger officially stepped down for the second and hopefully last time as the head of Disney. And now this silver-haired fox, Josh D'Amaro, comes in leading the company. He wrote in a memo that he wants, quote, storytelling and creative excellence to remain our North Star as the company moves forward in this business that we call show. Iger returned to the company in 2022, rejuvenating the company's studios as his top priority. And now Josh more or less wants to keep that humming. That's why, we have the trailer for Moana, the live action remake, coming out yesterday. I got an email about that and I just went, why does this exist? And I knew it was coming. And then I watched the trailer and I love Moana. I'm not kidding. I think Moana might be my favorite Disney princess and my favorite Disney princess movie. I love Moana. I watched that trailer yesterday and I felt the same things I felt when I saw the original, but it was everything was being repeated. I think the same beats. I think if you put the trailers side by side, you'll see the exact same trailer. I will go see this movie, but it does not need to exist. In the same way that there's a Tangled live action coming. Tangled live action doesn't need to exist. None of these live actions need to exist. Okay. Used thoughtfully, he's talking about these new technologies, i.e. AI. Used thoughtfully, it can empower our storytellers, strengthen our capabilities, and help us create more immersive, interactive, and personal ways to experience Disney. Now, remember, keep in mind, he's coming from the parks department. He was in the same way that Bob Chapek ran Disney Parks. Josh also ran Disney Parks when Bob Chapek moved over to the CEO thing. Although I do think that I have higher hopes for Josh, mostly because when Bob Chapek was hired, He seemed like a guy that was just going to run Disney as a business, and I think that there's a little bit more nuance to running Disney. And also, we saw who he donated to, so we don't need that. Because we're getting that with Paramount Warner Brothers. And finally, he framed his approach as, quote, one Disney, capital O in that one, in which all of the all the different parts work together while acknowledging the legacy Iger leaves in the current moment in media. Before I comment on that, I'm going to read what he wrote. The transition times are coming faster, blah, blah, blah. When I say times are coming faster, I don't know, none of those words were in that. While that can feel daunting at times as the world is changing faster than ever, it is also exciting. Disney has endured and thrived for generations by meeting change with vision, ambition, integrity, and optimism. Bob Iger has led this company in that spirit, and I'm grateful for his trust, mentorship, and friendship through the years. This hopefully will put Disney in a more, Disney's very approachable, but hopefully this will put Disney in a more approachable light, and they'll be more open to doing things. They'll be, I think what is that Disney game called? Oh, I'm not even in the Disney game. What is that game? What's that Disney game called? Dreamlight Valley. They released Dreamlight Valley within the last couple of years. And it did well. I played a little bit of it, but also that's because it was on Game Pass and I did not want to pay for it. But they put that game out, and your character can interact with Simba from Lion King and Sully from Monsters Inc. and Mushu from Mulan, and that's great and everything. And they've had this continued relationship with the Final Fantasy series, with the Kingdom Hearts games. But hopefully this will, Josh can allow, and the leadership there can help spread Disney out a little bit more without, risking the integrity of what Disney is. I have issues with Disney. We all know this, but in recent weeks and months, I have shifted from, let's keep things bottled up to, hey, people need to make money. This is very important. I think people need to make money. Okay, now let's move on to, I'm sorry, I saw a headline of a story and I did click on it and I did start skimming it. All right. Continued. This comes from the Hollywood Reporter, written by Alex Weprin. Dana Walden sets leadership team at Disney Entertainment. Remember, Dana also is helping lead the company. She's going to be leading the entertainment side, and it's, I guess, going to involve television and film and all that stuff. She's moved into her new role as of last Wednesday. Two of the biggest changes under Walden's new structure include Deborah O'Connell, who's going to become the chairman of Disney Entertainment Television, which is a new role for the company. And Disney's nascent gaming and interactive business will now become part of Disney Entertainment. Is gaming and interactive? Oh my gosh. For a second, I thought that was gambling, but it's not. So don't worry. Whew. I was like, well, Disney is thanks to ESPN, they are a part of that gambling crap. So these new people, O'Connell, who does not have a comma after the O and before the C. Interesting. At least that's how Alex is written in here. O'Connell will be in charge of ABC Entertainment, Disney-branded television, Hulu originals, National Geographic content, and creative for 20th Television and 20th Television Animation. Remember that Disney purchased the 20th studios from Fox Broadcasting, and she's going to continue overseeing ABC News and ABC's local stations. Shopta, meanwhile, manages the company's gaming and interactive business, including partnerships with game developers and the company's relationship with Epic Games and Fortnite. That's a job in and of itself, managing that Fortnite crap. I say crap because I don't play it. So Dana, in her note to staff, says, fans today want to engage with Disney's storytelling and characters in a multitude of ways, whether on Disney Plus, in theaters, or through the digital games they love to play. With this unified approach, Disney can deliver the world's most beloved entertainment to fans across the many ways they choose to enjoy it. You know, I appreciate that they are taking this kind of singular thought and saying, hey, people love Disney. Let's just continue giving them more Disney. And if we can make all of these arms of the company touch, then that's great. I definitely see that this is going to work for them, especially when eyes are on the industry and they see things in a negative light when it comes to Paramount and Warner Brothers, or when Fox Broadcasting airs a 3-week event about the Bible, the women of the Bible, on a Sunday night, as opposed to airing Family Guy and American Dad. Disney has a chance right now to while they are the leader now. Netflix is obviously giving them a run for their money as of the past couple of years, but they have this chance to be an all-arounder in terms of, we have the parks, we have these characters people intensely love, we have the streaming, and we have theatrical, in a way that Netflix does not have all of that. Yes, they have the streaming aspect and they can be successful in that, but Disney is also an attractive person with talents, as opposed to Netflix, just an attractive person, and that's it. Disney will have to, continue to, when Avengers Doomsday comes out, for instance, that movie is going to have to be good and also be something that people want to see again, so they can continue supporting Disney in the same way that, on Disney Plus, they're going to have to continue supporting that in a way that makes sense. And they introduced Verts now on Disney Plus, which is something that I will never click on that app. But people can watch vertical videos and clips of their favorite shows and movies, I guess. And apparently it's successful enough on ESPN that, why don't we do it for Disney? There's really nothing to comment on here. Disney's just, they're going to continue doing this. And I hope that they remember that the fans will call them out when something doesn't work. I just bought, Elio was on sale. I saw Elio in theaters, but Elio was on sale this morning. And so I purchased it. And I now have this goal of buying all the Pixar movies. I don't know why, but I've been buying them because they've been going on sale. And so I just bought Elio and Monsters, Inc. and Monsters University. And it's also great to not have to go on Disney Plus. In the same way, it's also great not to have to go on to HBO Max and see that they don't have Justice League, the TV show, or Justice League Unlimited. Because now I own those. And yes, I'm watching them. I love it. I love that show so much. I've seen it so many times. What was I talking about? I truly have no clue. All right, here's the final bit. This comes from Hollywood Reporter by Alex Weprin. Inside Bob Iger's Disney farewell tour. As I said, Disney CEO of several decades, Bob Iger, stepped down again, and there was a big to-do about it. Alan Bergman said something. Marketing chief Asad Ayaz said something. Michael Eisner said something. Just kidding. Michael Eisner's dead. But it's just like a big farewell tour. And now it feels as though Bob Iger has left the company in the prime position in order to be the leader, I would say the industry leader that they are. There's going to be, in this year alone, I believe, Disney's expanded. Iger launched a Hong Kong Disneyland and Shanghai Disneyland. That not this year, but he's launched that. Given the company's scale in China, they also have, when Iger became CEO, the Disney Cruise Line had 2 ships. As he leaves, they have 8, with 5 more on the way, including the first ever ship based in Asia that's called the Disney Adventure. Of course, they have Avengers Doomsday coming out this December. And then there's also the combination of of Disney Plus, Hulu, and seemingly ESPN into the Disney Plus ecosystem. He acquired BAM Tech from Major League Baseball, bringing in outside experts and live streaming to help the company scale up quickly. And he inked landmark deals with Epic Games and OpenAI to bring Disney's characters to other platforms, aware that Hollywood's grasp on distribution had effectively faded away. The things that were slights in his or hiccups include the Bob Chapek situation, where he left before the pandemic. Then the pandemic hit, and there were so many issues, including just releasing movies on Disney Plus, and then people like Scarlett Johansson weren't really paid for their work because of the pandemic. Then all the getting subscribers cost Disney so much money, and creative came at the expense of Disney's creative engines, which depleted themselves as theatrical releases. The heart of Disney's corporate flywheel were pushed aside for streaming debuts. Movies that appeared on Disney Plus without going to theaters included Black Widow. I think shifted to Disney Plus, and then there was Strange Worlds, Luca. Wait, was Luca? Luca was Disney Plus, right? Yeah, Luca was Disney Plus. I'm not a huge fan of Luca, but I have a relationship with that movie wherein when I bought the TV that's over there now, I bought a bigger version of it, and then I remember it was raining. It was Saturday. It was raining outside, and the TV that was over there died. It just stopped working, and then I said, "Oh my gosh, I need a TV out here," and I went, "You know what? I think I can just go buy one at Best Buy." So I went, and there was an LG TV that I knew I wanted, and I bought the 65-inch, and then I came home. It barely fit in my car, and it was so heavy, and I brought it in, and then I freaked out because it was too big. And then within the hour of me bringing it home, I boxed it back up, and then I took it back to Best Buy, and I bought the 55-inch version. And then the first thing I watched was that Friday? It was Friday night. The first thing I watched was Luca, because it just premiered that day, and I was tired and mad that I spent that much money, and I watched this movie and I hated it, and I was so mad. And ever since then, I've seen that movie like maybe 2 or 3 times, and now I do own it because it did go on sale a couple weeks ago. But I just don't like it, but it's tied to my life forever. Of course, Iger also brought in ESPN's standalone product, which is pretty much, doing well for them. But now, the studios needed creative rejuvenation. The streaming business needed to become viable as a business. ESPN needed to chart its path forward, and Disney Experiences, which is the parks and the ships and all that stuff, the thing they do better than anyone else, needed even more investment. I think Iger leaves a very positive, lasting legacy, more so than David Zaslav. I don't think David Zaslav is walking away as a billionaire, and I don't think not a single person will miss him. I truly, if you are at Warner Brothers right now and you're like, good for David Zaslav, he earned it, he deserved it, you are a crazy sycophant. But it is, Disney is in a position to, it's in a strange position. It's the leader when it comes to literally everything else, with the exception of Netflix. Netflix is always going to be that tiny little asterisk, that thing that they have to compare themselves to, even though it's not entirely necessary. But Netflix is winning when it comes to the at-home market. And right now, I think, Hollywood, the entertainment industry in general, is struggling. And it's tough to even get things made in Hollywood proper, in LA proper itself, where things need to get made. And as much as me and Danny McBride, and other people who don't live inside of LA, say hey, we can make things everywhere else. I think, a lot of people have uprooted their lives over the past decades and moved themselves to LA and even New York, and things need to be made. If they need to be made here in Georgia, they need to be made in California, they need to be made, all over Montana. I think that's where Yellowstone shoots. Let's get things made. Let's get movies and TV shows made. And Disney is in right now, in my favorable view. I don't like everything they do. I'm not a fan of, while I agree that what Andrew Stanton, here's the thing I'm not a fan of. Andrew Stanton a couple of weeks ago had an interview, and he was specifically talking about, Andrew Stanton's one of the heads of Pixar. I think he might be the head of Pixar. But he specifically said that when he was asked about, there was a cut in Elio, there was a cut sequence or character where it would involve Elio being having a crush on another boy, and he said, we're not making therapy, we're making movies. And to some extent, I do agree with him. Yes, it doesn't have to be whatever. It's something in a movie, especially a movie that's geared towards children, doesn't have to be overt with its messaging. However, I do think that there are things that are so commonplace in life, as like a little boy having a crush on another little boy, or a little girl, or a non-binary, whatever, float your friggin' boats, that you can do things like that, or address women's rights in a movie or a TV show, and it be just fine. Now, when you essentially are turning to the camera, you're pulling an Abbott Elementary and you're explaining something to the audience, that's when it becomes more difficult and more unbelievable. But I think Disney is in a position, they understand that racists love watching the Marvel movies. Racists love Star Wars. That's why what's his name? John Boyega and Daisy Ridley, sexists love Star Wars. That's why Daisy Ridley and John Boyega, just while they may have had a nice time making the movies and TV shows, the fan reception probably cooled them on the Star Wars franchise. If I was in oh my God, I'd be so excited. First of all, I'm not, the only Star Wars things I like are the cartoon shows. And then the what's the game I beat? Jedi Survivor. Oh yeah, that was great. So I would love it. Go ahead, talk your shit to me. Let's do it. But they understand that racists and sexists love their stuff, and so they never really take a stance. But now, I think it's time for a Netflix and for a Disney to come out and say, hey, maybe this isn't maybe it's not cool for you to make Netflix anti-trans jokes. Maybe it's not cool for our fans, in quotes, to not like Anthony Mackie's Captain America. It's all the same stuff. There's not one superhero movie I've ever turned on and been like, oh, this is well, no, hold on. There's two. There's two superhero movies that I think are very specifically different. Four. There's four. And I'll keep those to myself. One of them is Batman v Superman, the extended cut. But it's time. It's time. Take a stance. Take a stance, Disney. All right, I'm done. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to famous people sometimes. Again, as I mentioned, there's a new interview coming out after this. Not on this feed, on the Constitutionals podcast feed. And the video version of that interview is also arriving on youtube.com/C+comedy, where you can see a video version of this show, as well as a video version of the other shows, the Constitutionals Entertainment Business News Show, and the Late Night Show. Subscribe to those shows wherever you get your podcasts. Watch it on youtube.com/C+comedy. Speaking of which, you can find us on social media on YouTube, Blue Sky, TikTok, and Instagram at C+comedy, and me on those platforms at Chad Black White. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.